Hi, welcome to another episode of Wine and Design. I am here in Alpharetta, Georgia with Terry Dwyer. He is the owner of Southeast Leisure. Thank you so much for having me, Terry. I traveled here, so Terry so graciously picked out the wine for us. What are we drinking today, Terry?
I think today we'll have a little Cabernet Sauvignon from a vineyard, a specialty vineyard in North Carolina called South Creek. It's located about 45 minutes due east of Asheville, North Carolina, and a wonderful little boutique vineyard that does some fabulous wines. This happens to be one of my favorites.
Perfect. Let's have a sip. Cheers.
Cheers.
And you said these glasses were made by your niece?
These glasses made by my niece out of Stuart, Florida. She's a very talented artist and made some glasses for my my alma mater.
Nice, very nice. All right, so Southeast Leisure is all about leisure rooms. If you are looking for a wine cellar, sauna, or steam room, Terry is your guy. And you do hospitality, residential, commercial, kind of all of the above?
Correct. We do custom wine cellars in the Atlanta metro market, and we do saunas and steam rooms throughout the whole southeast U.S. Our wine cellar business is primarily high-end residential, and our sauna and steam business handles residential and commercial, hospitality, much more commercial than residential.
So we're in Atlanta, and you guys have tons of heat and humidity. What are three things that people need to consider when building a wine cellar in your elements?
Well, first off, I think when people are building a wine cellar in their home, they need to choose a place and a size for their cellar that's going to be compatible with their current collection and give them some room for growth in the future. Most people that do put a wine cellar in, they will be expanding their collection very quickly. Secondly, cooling systems become very important for most collectors and most people that want to preserve their wine properly. We're fortunate here in Georgia, because of our high humidity, that we don't have to worry too much about the humidity levels. They're traditionally in a terrace level home. They're about 55 to 60% relative humidity anyway, which is fine for most wine collectors. The cooling system is the item that usually gets the most attention for us here, and there are several different types of cooling systems to choose from, and we will size and base the cooling system selection on the type of area they have, the budget, and things of that nature that will be right for that customer. The third and one of the funnest parts is obviously the racking. The racking needs to be very conducive to their type of collection. We tend to ask the customers what type of collector they are, how they buy their wines, and try to match and pair their design, their racking design, to their tastes and needs.
Whether they're contemporary, traditional.
Absolutely, and whether they buy a lot of case wines or whether they're buying individual bottles, large format bottles, things of that nature all come into play in designing the wine racking that's going to be specific and particular for their needs.
Yes. What are some of the trends that you've seen in the last 10 years?
I think one of the biggest trends we've seen in the last few years has been moving from all wood racking to a combination of wood and metal racking for cellars. This has been probably for the last 4 or 5 years, probably the largest trend we've seen. Recently, we're seeing a lot more people wanting larger format bottles being stored and racking that's going to hold more unusual sized bottles that several of the vintners are starting to put out, particularly the Pinots and some of the manufacturers, larger manufacturers like Turley, that has a little bit of an oversized bottle.
Yeah, if we could just get them on plane with, just keep the same size bottle, it would help us all do a better job of storing
yes, it would be real simple if there was a standard bottle, but that's not going to happen.
Never going to happen. So
one of the other trends I'm seeing lately is a lot of people wanting to go towards label forward racking to show off their inventory or show off their collection a little better. Plus, it also helps them to know what they've got and find different bottles when they're down in their cellar. And that's probably been the biggest trend lately that I've noticed.
Nice. I have to ask, how many people go for the wine cellar, the sauna, and the steam room?
Surprisingly, a lot more than one would think. The wine cellar tends to be a very nice add-on for an expensive home. A higher-end home is going to be more likely to have a wine cellar in it, and buyers of larger homes expect to have a wine cellar in the home when they're shopping for that.
When it gets to a certain price point.
Yeah. That also tends to be very similar to a sauna and steam room. They're certainly luxury items that more of your better homes are putting in.
Nice, nice. What is your favorite VintageView project that you've worked on?
Wait, we did a wine aquarium, kind of a word I coined a few years ago, which is a 4-sided wine cellar, all glass. And this was for a sommelier here in the Atlanta area, and she wanted to separate her dining area from her living area and wanted to show off her wines. And so we did a very large 4-sided glass cellar, and had a mahogany base that she could keep her case storage product in, and then used VintageView floor to ceiling, facing both directions, so that when she was entertaining in the dining room, they were all looking at wine, and when they were sitting in their living area, they could also observe the wine. That was a project that was a lot of fun, but it was very challenging because of the cooling system. It needed to be upgraded to handle all that glass.
Yes. Yeah, so when introducing cooling and glass, it's almost a puzzle. You just have to figure it out, and I think, the bigger the unit, the bigger the output. There's a lot of things to consider, but those glass cellars are up in trend, and everybody seems to love them. So, and with the open concept housing trend that's going on, the glass puts in a separate a separation element, but not a solid element. So I think that I do a lot of projects like that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Aesthetically, they're beautiful. Yeah. They are a nightmare to try to condition.
Whatever makes it work, right? That's what the homeowner wants. So one more question. If it's Tuesday and there's fried chicken on the table, what are you drinking?
Oh, it's fried chicken. I'm usually outside eating it. So,
all right, so on the patio table.
I probably have a cold beer with a glass of wine somewhere nearby.
All right.
I would probably have there's a little Cabernet I like called Silver Palms. That tends to be one of my favorite everyday drinking cabs. My wife, on the other hand, she's going to have a Chardonnay, a cake bread Chardonnay, probably
Nice.
right by her side for that one.
I'm going to go with your wife on that one. And then when I was in Florida, I was introduced to fried chicken and champagne. So if you haven't tried that, it's definitely a really nice combination. So
That I have not yet tried. So
well, thank you so much for having us, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Wine and Design. Cheers.
cheers.
See you soon.